team. That's all fun. The most challenging part is things that you don't really realize from behind the scenes in terms of what it takes in terms of being NCAA compliant, what it takes to move for event management, what it takes for everything that's new that didn't happen before, just to start it from, it's very difficult to hit the ground running. There's a lot of moving parts. So there's a lot of people, fortunately, we have great people at Penn State in the athletics department, and they're dealing with a lot of that. It's a lot of work. That's the most challenging part. But from the team standpoint, it's a lot of fun. We know that it's going to be a huge step up. We understand that in terms of the speed and the strength of the athletes, more so even the speed of the game, the thinking, and it's something that we'll have to work on every day of practice, and that's going to be a challenge as we've only had one practice. Obviously, that'll be a huge challenge for us the entire year.
When you're on the road recruiting, what type of individual are you looking for? What type of student athlete do you aim to recruit?
First of all, we want really good people. I think I was very impressed with the quality of our locker room that we had last year, and I was very fortunate to have great quality in some of the past programs that I've been in, and that's something that's really important to our staff. So number one, you want to find quality individuals and guys that understand what Penn State's all about, that really appreciate an excellent education. You want players that really appreciate passion in the student body and want to be a part of something special, not someone that just wants to arrive somewhere. The situation we're in, it's very important that we get people that really are hungry to build that and want to have that pride in building the foundation. So those are the kind of people we look for. As far as hockey, it's very important to us that we have high hockey IQ. We tend to be a very creative team. We don't put a lot of leashes on our players. We let them go, and if we're going to play that way, you got to have smart hockey players.
Are you nervous at all going into the Big Ten?
Sure I am. I mean, the Big Ten it's the first time there's ever a Big Ten conference, and the teams in this conference have, in their respective conferences, have dominated, and they've dominated on a national level. I played in the WCHA, I coached in the CCHA, I know very well how good these programs are, how much pride and tradition they have, the success of not only their programs, but their alumni at the National Hockey League level. I have all the respect in the world for these programs, and we're very honored to be a part of them, and that's a huge draw to come to Penn State, not only for our staff, but for our student athletes. There will be the best college conference in the nation, and to be a part of it is an honor. Certainly, we understand how tough it is. We understand that, but that's why you come to Penn State, to compete against the best.
How do you think Penn State having D1 hockey is going to affect kind of youth hockey in the region and state and everything?
I think it's going to have a tremendous effect. And if you talk to Mr. Pagula, that was one of his vision points of building the building that he wants. Is to encourage and be a catalyst for youth hockey in this area and all of Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania is getting better and better, and we're giving birth to some great hockey players. We just need a lot more of them, and I think the Pagula Ice Arena is going to be probably the most important factor that happens to youth hockey in this area. So if you can envision a decade down the road, I mean, I foresee a time when we have just passionate Pennsylvania kids that are great hockey players on a national level that grew up playing in Pagula Ice Arena, whether it's right here in this district or coming from tournaments from other areas across the state, that grew up just can't wait to play in front of 6,000 screaming fans at Pagula Ice Arena.
Coach, what qualities did you see in Tommy Olczyk to make him attractive?
Well, you can see him immediately. Number one, he's a 4.0 student. He takes academics very seriously. He's very intelligent. Besides that, the way he represents himself, not only to the coaching staff or the team, but just to himself in general and in public, is just excellent. I think he's a tremendous representative. And on the ice, he's a talented guy. He shoots the puck very well, as you've seen, but he does a lot of little things that don't get noticed. He does it with a great work ethic. And really, when you ask what are the qualities that we saw, this was, we actually put a vote to the team in terms of what players they thought had the highest levels of work ethic and commitment, what players represented themselves the best, what players that were committed not only to Penn State University, the hockey program, and academics, and his name was at the top of the list. So we certainly agree with it as a coaching staff, but I think you have to give the credit for his captain's selection to the team.
Coach, you've got captains and assistant
captained one in each class except the freshman. What can you speak on the leadership throughout the depth of the roster?
Well, that's a good point. That wasn't by design. That's an interesting point. I think that we're very fortunate. I talked about the quality of the locker room before. I give the seniors from last year a lot of credit for that, as well as the juniors last year that are seniors now, and it's really nice that they were recognized as a whole. But I do think it's important. You want, just because we hope to have a whole locker room of leaders. You don't have to have a letter on your chest to be a leader. And we expect that everybody has that attitude. These are three individuals that, in terms of what we look at for the team, is important to be captains, but we certainly expect everybody to be a leader. Right now, I can tell you they have a lot of pride in this program and a lot of pride in Penn State University. So, like I said, hopefully we'll have an entire locker room of leaders.
Have you run into any obstacles on the recruiting trail where people might be deterred of the youth of the program? They're deterred away from Penn State just because it's still in its first year Division I program?
Yeah, of course, and we're going to get that. I think, as I mentioned earlier, though, that it's really important. You asked what's important in a recruit. Number one, when you're in the situation that we're in, you want people that are hungry to be a part of that foundation and want the pride and to look back years down the road and say, I was a part of that. To answer your question about Tommy Olczyk, I'll never forget his recruiting visit. When he came in, he spoke about that. He made a point to say, I can't wait, 10, 15 years down the road to look back at what we accomplished. And he has a real pride in building that and a commitment to that. So yes, there are players that just want to go somewhere that's already established and go to some place as a destination where they've already arrived. We want to find the players like Tommy Olczyk that want to come here and are really